When you unmask a pathological narcissist, it is an unforgettable experience. You really get a true look at the reptilian, cold, robotic, humanoid creature that you have been interacting with. So when we say pathological narcissist, exactly what does this mean? Understand that the term pathology is talking about patterned behavior, and it is talking about patterned abnormal behavior. So when we're talking about pathological narcissists, there really are four main characteristics that you can look out for. Now, number one is their grandiosity, which is their false sense of superiority. So you're dealing with someone that believes that they are better than you without merit. Again, this is patterned abnormal behavior. Pathologies essentially are the study of diseases. Hence, clinicians, psychiatrists, psychotherapists are psychopathologists. So they're talking about pathologies linked to the mind power, the willpower, and the emotions. So you're dealing with people that believe that they are superior and grandiose, so they believe that they are better than you without merit, right? They're very big-headed. So they have to be up and you must be down. Next up, what you can look out for is their attention-seeking behavior. So they have an excessive need for admiration, attention, validation, and your reflection. Thirdly, you're dealing with people that are empathy impaired, so they do not have any empathy to give to you. So they do not have the ability to put themselves in the other's shoes. So they essentially are obsessed with themselves and they do not care about others. They do not have empathy to give, so they have a whole bunch of apathy. So you're dealing with very cold individuals. And fourth, you're also dealing with pathological liars. And there's the word pathological again. So understand that a pathological liar is not someone that tells little white lies here and there. A pathological liar is essentially a lying addict. They are addicted to lying. So you can imagine this like Pinocchio with his nose stuck in the elongated position because they have been practicing lying to the point where it has become pathological. And that is a quick overview of who a pathological narcissist is. Now, in order for someone to be diagnosed clinically with narcissistic personality disorder, they would have to have 5 or more of the 9 traits that are listed in the DSM under NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. However, I want to make it abundantly clear to you, if you see anyone with 1 or even 2 of these symptoms, they're going to be a very toxic individual. So you really should not wait until they get up to 5. The DSM essentially is a book of pathologies. It is a book of what clinicians view as dysregulated or disordered behavior. Now, what truly lies behind the veil when you're dealing with a pathological narcissist is a reptilian-like creature, because you're dealing with someone that did not develop a true personality. They essentially are a false self. They did not develop their true self. They actually dissociated in childhood. They abandoned their true self for a false self. So if you think of Jim Carrey, who plays Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask, understand that pathological narcissists, the mask is glued to their face. They believe that they are the mask. And what really happens is they believe that they are multiple masks, because when they go around individuals, they will mimic them. So what they really are doing is mirroring the person that is in front of them, because again, they believe that they are the mask. They do not have a true self. The true self shriveled up in childhood and they developed an ego. And the ego, again, is a mind-made construct. It is the figment of a child's imagination that now exists inside of an adult's body. So I want to make it abundantly clear to you that on day 0, not halfway into the relationship or at the end, but on day 0. Whoever you thought you met does not exist. The pathological narcissist was mimicking you. So if you like R&B music, the narcissist likes R&B music. If somebody else likes jazz music, well, the narcissist likes jazz music. You're dealing with the Anna Delveys of the world. They are total fakes. They are mimics. They are mirroring you. And this is what they do in the love bomb or the idealization phase in the narcissistic abuse cycle. So I want to make it abundantly clear to you that you really weren't in a relationship, not a mutually beneficial relationship. You were in an abuse cycle. And this is why things were so topsy-turvy. They were always up and down because you were in an abuse cycle. You were in an entanglement with a very parasitic individual. They were faking it from day 0, not halfway into the relationship or at the end. They were faking it from day 0. So what they do in the idealization phase or the love bombing phase is they manipulate you into believing that they are like you, but they are not. They are the total opposite of you. First of all, they don't have a true self. And understand that we must have a true self to be authentic. So you're dealing with an inauthentic individual. So here is a bit of spirituality 101 or personal development 101. Understand that we are spirit governing a human body with the access to tools or faculties, namely our mind power, our willpower, and our emotions. We are not our bodies. We have a body. For example, if someone is an amputee and let's say their name is Tom, well, Tom lost a leg, but Tom is not the leg, you see. The leg is a body part. We operate a body. Let's say you go to a funeral. And let's say Tom is in the casket. Well, Tom's body is in the casket, but you do not have access to Tom anymore via that body. You do not have access to the spirit that was governing the body. So instead of spirit, you could say life, force, source energy, the watcher, the observer, prana, chi, etc. We are not our bodies. We have a body. The body is the vessel for the spirit. At our core, we are not physical. The body is physical. So understand that human beings are multidimensional in nature. Additionally, we are not our minds. We have a mind. Our mind is a tool that we use to make decisions. We can use our minds to imagine. We use our minds to think, to generate thoughts. For example, I wanted to share my experience of transcending narcissistic abuse and growing up in a dysfunctional family, similar to you, because if you're watching this video or if you're listening to this audio, then you most likely were the scapegoat and or the lost child in your dysfunctional family system. And this is why you most likely grew up with enabler qualities or people-pleasing qualities or codependence, and people pleasers normally attract narcissists. And this is a cycle that we must break. So understand that we are not our minds. I use my mind to create the Narc Dojo channel. I, spirit, use my mind to think, to generate thoughts, and then that comes out in the physical realm. You are not your mind. You have a mind. The mind is a tool. Like a pen is a tool to write, or a pencil is a tool to draw. And it is important to understand that the mind is not the brain. The brain is a physical organ that is a part of the body. Your mind is not physical. You cannot touch the mind. Additionally, you cannot touch the emotions, but you know that you have emotions. You feel anger. You feel courage. You feel love. Emotions are energy in motion. Again, your emotions are tools. These are indicators to know where you are vibrationally. So you know that if you are feeling too much anger or maybe too much shame, that you know that you need to raise your vibration. So think of your emotions like the spiritual dashboard. All right, kind of like the dashboard in a car. So if you see the check engine light or the battery light pop up, then you need to do some investigation. And this is what we call emotional intelligence, because you also understand from a spiritual level that you are spirit with emotions, with access to emotions, and these emotions are tools. Additionally, you're not the will. You have a will. And you can think about your willpower like your discipline muscle. If you have a developed will, then you're going to be highly disciplined. And if you have a weak will, then you're going to be highly compulsive and or impulsive, because you did not develop that muscle. And similarly, that muscle can get tired. So you need to rest to regenerate the will, because it's kind of like a battery, all right? Kind of like a muscle. So at your core, you are spirit. And at your core, you are not physical. The body is physical, but you cannot touch the spirit. You cannot touch the mind. You cannot touch the emotions. You cannot touch the will. You cannot touch the ego. At your core, you are not physical. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Wise words of Pierre de Chardin. At our core, we are not physical, and we manifest or we create from the non-physical to the physical. So it is important to understand that what you see on the physical realm, in the physical realm, comes from the metaphysical realm. And metaphysical essentially is what is alongside the physical. It is what is along with the physical, because again, you turn thoughts into things. You create from the non-physical to the physical. So when it comes to pathological narcissists, you're dealing with someone that abandoned their spirit in childhood, because you can definitely tell that they have arrested development, because at their core, again, not talking about their physical age, because you could be dealing with a narcissist that is in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, elderly narcissists in their 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. But at their core, they have the emotional processing of a toddler. And you see where these individuals throw tantrums like toddlers, even though they are adults, because behind the veil, they did not develop their spirit. So they lost access to their tools. They lost access to their minds, their willpower, and their emotions. And this is why clinicians call this a personality disorder. However, it is important that you understand that you're dealing with a psycho-spiritual illness. So when we say psycho, this is related to the psyche. And this again is your mind power, your willpower, and your emotions. This is a similar equivalent to what we're calling the soul or the personality. So they have a psycho-spiritual illness because they dissociated from their spirit, and instead they identified with the ego. And the ego is the mask. The ego is the false self. And the ego does not have the ability to self-reflect because it's not really a self. It is a false self. It is the mask. It is the green mask that Jim Carrey wears as Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask. Narcissists believe that they are the mask. So if someone believes that they are the ego, they believe that they are the mind. And if someone believes that they are the mind, then they are losing their minds. Narcissists have identified with the tool. They believe that they are the ego. They believe that they are the mind. This is why you have to boost their ego. This is why they need so much attention, admiration, validation, your reflection, because they don't have a self. They dissociated from the self in childhood. The captain abandoned the ship. The captain is overboard. The ship that you're on is Titanic. It must go down. The driver is in the back seat. Nobody is operating the vehicle. There's no captain. It is self-abandonment. It is dissociation at the core level, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spirit governing a human body with the access to tools, namely our mind power, our willpower, and our emotions. But when it comes to pathological narcissists, they do not have a self, so they're not self-reflecting. The ego is a mind-made construct. The mind is there to think. The mind generates thoughts, so the mind just generates another mask and another mask and another mask and another mask and another mask. There is no captain. So oftentimes you will see where the lights are on, but nobody's really home with a pathological narcissist. And this is why you cannot grow with a narcissist. They are black holes. Black holes consume light. They lost their spirit. They lost their light. And the longer they are here on this planet walking around physically, the more they lose their light. Pathological narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, which overlaps with antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, that which you may commonly call sociopathy or psychopathy. And again, all of these are in the cluster B, personality disorders. These are regressive. They get worse with age because they are devolving, not evolving. They have identified with their ego, and the longer they are here on this planet walking around, the more they identify with their ego, the more they identify with the false selves. Whoever you met on day 0 did not exist. The ego is a mind-made construct. It is the figment of a child's imagination now existing inside of an adult's body. Today, the narcissist is Thor. Tomorrow, they're Wonder Woman. And the next day, they are Spider-Man. The mind generates another mask, and another mask, and another mask, and another mask, because the captain is not there to use the tools. The captain is not there to control the faculties. They don't have a true self. They don't have a spirit. They lost their spirit. They lost their light. And understand that anybody that has lost their light will also want you to lose your light. This is why pathological narcissists hate your authenticity, because they know that deep down they are pretenders. And they have been pretending since their childhood, when they started to develop this mask or these masks. The ego is what you have been interacting with. The true spirit is lost in another dimension. They're in the sunken place. They're in the upside down. They're in La La Land. Whoever you thought the pathological narcissist was, does not exist. They were mirroring your personality. And again, this is the love bomb or the idealization phase. And this is why they have to plug into different sources of supply, because they lost their supply. Again, at our core, we are light, we are source energy. So someone that has lost their supply must plug into other individuals. Someone that does not have any self-esteem, and again, they don't have any self-esteem because they abandoned their true self, must get this esteem from others. And we call this other esteem. So they need you to validate them. But what you're validating is the false self, the delusional reality.